He's a former senior advisor to the U.S. Envoy for Iran. That was during the Trump administration, of course. And he joins us live from Jerusalem, I imagine. Thank you very much for being with us today, Mr. Khodorkovsky.
Thanks for having me.
What are you hearing from Washington, D.C. with regards to this attack? Israel is arguing that it was an Iranian attack on the ship that's operated by an Israeli company. Iran, of course, dismisses the claims, and other countries are not in a hurry to call it an Iranian attack. Was it indeed, according to the Americans?
Well, this is vintage Iran. This is how they operate. When we were in the administration, they operated the same way. In fact, there have been dozens and dozens of attacks by Iranian IRGC Navy forces over the years. They try and maintain some level of deniability, but this is vintage Iran. And of course, I can't give you 100% guarantee, but it certainly smells like Iran and looks like Iran. My guess, it's Iran.
For the first time in a few years of attacks, there's casualties. A Romanian citizen and an English-British citizen that died in this attack. Are the Iranian attacks of this sort becoming more sophisticated at sea?
Well, they've been reckless for a number of years. It doesn't surprise me that, unfortunately, a couple of people ended up being casualties in their attacks. I'm surprised it didn't happen more in previous attacks. So more than purposeful, I would say they're reckless, and I don't think it's in their interest to provoke the British and anyone else. As a matter of fact, if you recall, when President Abe was here a few years ago, they attacked a Japanese tanker and really embarrassed President Abe. And so they've done this over a number of years. And frankly, they're going to probably keep doing this because they see a benefit in doing this. They see continuing concessions from the Biden administration, and there's really no downside for them to keep doing this.
Yeah. We're hearing the New York Times reporting yesterday the U.S. officials are pessimistic at this point about the return to the nuclear deal, the new form of the nuclear deal that is in discussions in Vienna in the last few months and now on halt until the government is sworn in on Thursday in Iran. Are you pessimistic as well at this stage?
The way I see it is like this: the Biden administration is desperate for a deal. They see the illusion of diplomacy as something that defines the administration, and I think they will go into the deal as late as possible. And there are very few things to prevent them from getting back in the deal. The Ayatollah knows this. The Iranians are stretching it out to gain more and more concessions from the Biden administration. So I imagine they're going to keep stretching the negotiations out as long as possible. In the end, it's not Raisi that will make the deal. It's Ayatollah Khamenei that will make the deal. And as long as he sees benefit from stretching out the negotiations, he will do so.
How do you feel about this deal with regards to Israel and its security? It seems like Israeli officials are already understanding that a deal is a fact, and what they're trying to do at the moment is merely get benefits from the U.S. In compensation for this deal, or in ways to make sure Israel stays secure. What do you think Israel should do?
Well, Israel is in a bind here. You know, in some ways, both Israel and the other countries here in the neighborhood that are on the front lines of the world's top state sponsor of terrorism are not at the negotiating table. So there's only a limited amount of what Israel or the Gulf Arab states can do. So they have to work with what they have. Unfortunately, the American administration is going to concede a lot that is probably not in the best interest of Israel or the Gulf Arab neighbors. So Israel just has to get as much as they can as compensation for that. They're not going to talk about it publicly. They're going to, as they've been doing, talk to the administration privately about these issues. But the other point that I think that's important for viewers to know is, I think in the back of the mind of Ayatollah Khamenei is the reality that come the next Republican administration in the United States, this version of the deal, JCPOA 2.0, is going to be ripped up like the previous version. And so this is a demand that the Ayatollah is making of the Biden administration that they simply cannot keep, which is making things a little bit more complicated.
Okay. Len Khodorkovsky, a former senior advisor to the U.S. Envoy for Iran, thank you very much for being with us.